Hello. I'm out here in the camper and it's cold. You never know from one day to the next what it's going to be like. I'm Christy, in case you don't know who I am. And many of you know that I am often gone on the weekends this time of year for vendor shows. And it's the time of year that I make most of my money for the rest of the year when there aren't any shows. So like the first half of the year, this is kind of when I make my money for that. So this season really wasn't an option for me to not do the shows that I already had lined up, because that's how I pay for the rest of the year when I'm not working as much. So last month I had a show in Ruidoso, and it's the Ruidoso, the Lincoln County Cowboy Symposium. And this particular show, Robert always goes with us as our chauffeur, our cook, and some dancing. And he drives us there and back and forth from the cabin to the show, and then he brings us supper in between the show and the evening when they have concerts at night. Robert, usually we get to visit with one of his cousins who comes up there every year, and we get to go to the big dance on Saturday. We like to country dance, and this year we asked Sarah if she wanted to go, or if she didn't want to go, where she wanted to stay. We weren't sure what she would want to do. She chose to stay with some really good friends of ours, and since we were leaving in the morning, some friends picked her up in Lubbock the night before. So I am not typically a worrier. I never been one to really worry about things, especially things you can't do anything about. But apparently, when you're grieving, that might change. The night of the accident, we're going to see if I can do this. I had done my video for the day, and I was watching one of my YouTube friends' videos, catching up on what was going on, and periodically I was checking what we call the Stalker app. It's an app, it's called Life 360. If you don't have it, your kids probably don't want you to get it, but you can track basically where their phone is. It shows you where they are. And I had seen that the girls were about 20 minutes away from home, and then I checked it again, and they were still about 20 minutes away from home. So I looked closer and saw that they were stopped and they weren't moving anymore. I figured they might just pulled over for a second. Maybe they had a flat or somebody had to use the bathroom. So I sent a text and said, "Is everything okay?" Not long after I got the call, or not long after that, I got the call, and a man asked if I had a daughter named Sarah, said that she'd been in an accident and needed to come. And I said, I started panicking and asked, is everyone okay? And he wouldn't tell me, so I knew it was probably bad. And I asked where to go. Somebody got on and told me where I needed to go, cautioned us not to speed on our way there. So I jumped up and ran out the door and was just kind of chanting, no, 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 as I ran to the car. And I called Robert and told him, he was at the motel, and I called him and told him what happened and that I was coming. I got there. I jumped out, got in the passenger side, and he got in, and we were following the app because I knew that would get us pretty close, and so I could see how far away we were. And as we got closer, we started seeing all the lights and the emergency vehicles, and we got there just after they had cut the roof off of the car. That's all I'm going there. But so the night that Sarah was leaving with a friend to drive an hour to their house, I couldn't stop watching the Stalker app. I kept reliving that day. Fear. Sarah was going, and I just kept looking, and I would panic when it looked like that it wasn't moving anymore on the app. And at one point, Robert asked me, he's like, "What's going on? Why are you seem consumed with your phone?" And I said, "Well, Sarah is on the way, and I just, until she's there, I can't relax." So I think that's kind of how the rest of the evening probably started, was from that point on. I already was in kind of a state of fear. And so when she finally got there, I could relax a little bit. But when I was packing for Ruidosa, I had another fear pop up. I started thinking, what if the house caught on fire and all of the girls' things were gone, and all those physical pieces weren't there anymore? They lived there their whole lives. I kept trying to shake it. I put Ella's Bible in my bag to take with me, which I'd been taking it with me to shows anyway, but in my bag. I put Aranza's Bible in the safe. I put the hair clips they were wearing in my purse. The one that Aranza made when we went to training together in Tulsa. I kept seeing pieces that I'm like, well, I wouldn't want to lose that. I don't want to lose that piece. After I was done packing, Robert had gone to do something outside, and I just remember I couldn't function. I just couldn't think of anything else. And Robert came back in, and he saw me, and he was like, "What's wrong?" And so I told him about this irrational fear. I knew it was unreasonable, unrealistic, silly, but it's still how I felt. And I finally was able to go to sleep, but it followed me the next morning as well. And I kept finding things. I don't know how many times I unlocked the safe and put something in it. I put their computers in there. I put my hard drive with all the pictures on it. A handmade card that Aranza made me that was on the refrigerator. A note that they wrote me. I kept opening the safe and putting things in and putting things in. I finally told Robert, we just have to leave, because I kept finding things that I needed to put in. And I really literally kept doing that until we left. The funny thing is, I knew it was irrational. And I could tell myself that. I knew there probably wouldn't be a fire. I also knew if there was, it would be okay. It was silly to be that upset about inanimate objects when the girls were already gone. It's just stuff. But I was still worrying. It was an irrational fear. And I know that grief does weird things to us. Obviously, one of the things it did to me was cause me to worry when I would not usually do that. After I got away, I was able to move on and not think about it. And I realized my irrational fear will be very different than yours. But in general, before worrying about something, you can usually ask yourself 2 questions. Is it a real possibility? And if it is there something positive you can do to make a difference? So I guess in my brain, the positive thing was putting things in the safe, because that's probably the only thing that I could do at the time. But I did find 4 ways to help get over an irrational fear. So if you struggle with worry or irrational fears, I'd love to help you not give into those fears and not have to go through that. So if you would like those, shoot me a message and I will get those out to you, and I will see y'all again tomorrow.